Well, welcome to part two on early government, our unit, our Wiki project that we're going to be doing. You're going to be doing this during the month of December, so we want to make sure that you understand how this is going to work. So I am here on page 3, and here we have our rubric. This rubric is can also be found on Haiku if you want to look it up on there. All right, so we're going to look at our 4 standards that we have. Inquiry, research, and reading. And that one says that you're going to do quite a bit of reading in here, mostly from the Discovery Education textbook, or sources of your choice, and looking at the main ideas, understanding the early government period, the Articles of Confederation, the compromises in government. And it also says that you're going to ask some good historian questions. Whenever we're studying history, we want to be able to do that. And then over here, again, it kind of explains this maybe in a little better way. Again, watch videos, reread if necessary, use additional sources if you wish, and include those sources on your wiki pages, which we'll talk about later, and ask historian questions. Over here, this is the content. This is putting together the story. It says I can put together a mostly accurate story of the different events in early government as listed in the learning targets. I understand the chronology or the time order. And again, this is the ways that you can do that are under Show Your Learning. We discussed those previously. Some creative ways if you want. Make sure that you get the content across. And you are going to be doing not 6, but 5 of the learning targets. So you're going to be doing 5 out of the 8. Now, what that means, though, is that you need to study the other 3. So you're responsible. Okay, you are responsible for all 8, but you're going to prepare study materials for 5 out of the 8. And we'll again clarify that a little bit more. Provide thorough explanations. This is not a situation where you sit down for 10 minutes. You want to really be able to explain each of the learning targets, understand them pretty thoroughly. All right, historical thinking. This is where we're going to use some of the historical thinking skills, and I'm going to scroll down here. These have to be applied. So in each of the learning targets, which you can find again up here or within, within here, it always says apply the skill. This skill is cause and effect, and there are several different what we call guideposts or kind of components to that. That's going to be important that you apply those skills. So we aren't just going to talk about the Articles of Confederation. We're going to make sure that we're applying this and discussing this right here. And this, so when you click on historical thinking skills, you're going to see this. This first one here is talking about cause and effect, and you can see that we're trying to get you to go past that simple one thing causes another. We want you guys to understand that there are often multiple causes that result in multiple effects or consequences, whichever you would like to, whatever you want to call that. Again here, cause, multiple effects. Sometimes things are like a domino effect. One thing affects the other. Again, kind of looking at how complex cause and effect could be. Multiple causes, multiple effects. Another guidepost is that sometimes the causes can vary. Sometimes one is much more important. Yes, there's multiple causes, but 1 or 2 of them might be the main things that caused it. And then guidepost, the next guidepost, which should say guidepost C, is that events result from the interplay of historical actors. The people in history, we're going to call them historical actors, even though they're real, who take action, and the social, political conditions of the time that they're living in matter. And so that's important to explain that. So when we have different people, different leaders who stand out in history, we have to understand that there's an interplay between them, maybe between each other, and maybe between what's going on at the time period. That's certainly going to be true of the American, the early period. Historical perspectives. Different historical actors have diverse perspectives on the events they are involved in. So making sure to clarify, and we're going to very clearly see this in the early government period, that there's some very different perspectives when they're compromising, some very different perspectives on Washington's cabinet, and very different perspectives during the first years, different presidencies. Sometimes there is not just two different opposing perspectives, but multiple perspectives depending upon who you are. Different, and even within groups, if we take the Patriots and the Loyalists, even within groups, so before the war, or before the Constitution is written and the war is going on, the Patriots and Loyalists, there's different reasons why those people feel maybe have the same opinion of what they want, but there may be different reasons for that. So again, we're trying to get you to look at that complexity. And then we're looking at change and continuity, another skill. And this skill is going to talk about using some broad themes to connect historical events from different time periods. And I know you guys are really, young gentlemen and ladies are, excellent at this. Some broad themes, you might use power, but power is a little bit maybe broad, so maybe just looking at power in government, or overreach of power, or controversy over government power. How much power does the government have? And you're going to need to take a look at that, because this idea of power was so important. When you do this, when you compare things across time, make sure that you explain how are the events similar, so what has remained the same maybe, and how are they different, what might have changed. And then historical significance means that when we study history, we're not just going to talk about some little trivial things. You want to make sure when you're creating your story that you're really kind of picking, what's really important here, what has historical significance. And what that means is what has deep consequences for people over a long period of time. And certainly when our Constitution is created, we're going to see that that is the case. All right. Again, explaining those guideposts, we should see that you're clearly talking about the historical thinking skills. The content is important, but the historical thinking skills are things that you can apply, throughout all of our history units. And then communicating history. You're going to be putting your information on the correct Wiki page, labeling it. I'll talk about that more. You're going to be organized, making sure you're explaining the learning targets. You're going to use the language of a historian. And one of the things that we give you to help with that are some historical thinking phrases. So you can see these are different phrases that you might use in your discussion. Again, trying to learn to use the phrases of a historian. And again, we're looking for you to write on, and I'll talk about that in a minute, and show your understanding. Let me just jump down here for a minute. One of the things that we're going to ask you to do on Wednesday, December 7th, we're going to choose, you won't know which one it is, 1, 2, or 3, number 1, 2, or 3 learning target, and we're going to ask you to write about it for 15 minutes. So you are going to be doing a little bit of writing on this. Then on Wednesday, December 14th, some of you, not all, will be chosen for a panel interview on skills, learning targets 1 through 5. So it could be a discussion on any of those. And then again, a writing on December 21st. This would be on learning targets 4 through 8, randomly chosen. So we're going to ask you to do those things.